Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to your Side Quest Contact. We're going to be doing part two of the Running the Game series. And the first episode we did of this, we kind of talked about three initial concepts we want to think about as we're wanting to get a game going: finding players, scheduling, and choosing the game. We talked about places where you can go find players, and we talked about scheduling and choosing the game to be more of a kind of focus on when you're available and what game you want to run, and then let the players come to that, as opposed to trying to accommodate like an infinite number of playing desires and scheduling. Focus on when you're available and what you want to run, and then let them come to you. So let's say we've gone through all this, right? We got our players, we've got our time, and we know the game we're going to play. So the next thing we want to think about, a couple things, is getting set up, right? Getting the game set up. And to get the game set up, we want to kind of divide that up into a couple concepts as well. So how are we going to deliver the game? And are we going? And what I mean, we have like two main options in today's atmosphere. We have like virtual tabletops, and we have standard traditional tabletops. So a virtual tabletop or a real tabletop. We're going to talk a little bit about each of these, the pros and cons, and so that way that may help you decide which would be best for you. Now, with real tabletop, now we even subdivide even further. Are you going to use miniatures, or is this all going to be mind's eye, like just all descriptive? Either one is totally okay. Just depends on what it is you want to do. Now, we'll start at the top here, virtual tabletop. Now, this has been my main way of delivering games, of running games. Because COVID hit, no one wanted to go anywhere. No one probably should have gone anywhere. But yeah, Discord, virtual tabletops really came out during that time, and I'm still using it. I still like it. I have money invested in it, so if I didn't use it, it would be kind of a waste of money. So with virtual tabletop, you have a little bit more visual freedom, right? As far as what you can show the players. On a physical table, you have miniatures if you're using minis, but then you're limited to the actual miniatures you've gone out and purchased, or the miniatures your players have gone out and purchased. And that's honestly one of the reasons I never really got into miniatures that much, is because it looks like a really big money investment. The miniatures, if you want to do it right, that is, the miniatures, the paints, if you want to get really into it, which when I get into something, I usually go all in. So I didn't want to put a lot of money into that. Plus, I'm not really good at painting, so that's yeah. I didn't want to really get in spend money on something I'm not really good at. Now I have some miniatures. I have a Castle Ravenloft box set that comes with it's like a board game, tile building dungeon game, and it comes with a good number of miniatures. So I've used those. I've also used chess pieces. I have this really neat looking chess board that had the pieces are all fantasy looking, so that came in handy. So with virtual tabletop, you have a little bit more visual freedom. So let me show you what I mean. I'm not going to go into a big like dissertation on the virtual tabletop, but yeah, you get to show the map. If you've seen the other videos, the Muse of Jijan or the Frozen Heart, then you've seen the virtual tabletop. Now this is neither of those games. This is the old Curse of Strahd game I ran, and you get to see. Let me kind of zoom in. Here's a pretty big map. You get your players, your bad guys, and your players. All the roles you can do here. I can just like roll a bunch of dice if I want, right on the tabletop. Oh, I think I. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have all those modules disabled for this one. But anyway, if there was a module. If my module was on, you see a whole bunch of dice on the table. So, and you can set up visual effects. Now, there is a little bit of a money investment in this. Not as much as getting into miniatures. So, the license for this particular software I use, called the Foundry, I think it was like $50, right? That's the license to use the software. And then to host it so you can run it online, you either have to be a network type person who knows how to adjust ports and things like that, which I know nothing about. So I found Forge. They're a hosting site specifically designed for this software. And it's like $5 a month, so it's pretty reasonable. I haven't used up nearly half of my data allotted yet, so I still have a lot of room to build worlds and import images and such. And I pay yearly, so it's even less than $5 a month. So this is my virtual tabletop, and yeah, you can even kind of go in and set up different maps. Let's find my region map. Let's find Barovia. Okay, this is Chris Estrad. And different, as you're going through scenes, you just move your players through. Nice little feature here is you can wall things off. So say like these walls indicate you can't see, and your token can't see, and you can't move past it. So you have to actually move to see what's on the other side of it. So I do like this. I like virtual tabletop. I like working on the computer, setting things up this way, importing images, kind of setting the stage that the players are going to be interacting with. Now, there's also Roll20. I think that's a free virtual tabletop, and that's where I started. And for what it did, it worked well for me. When I got introduced to this, though, there was a lot more options, and I wanted to partake in that. So that's virtual tabletop. Now, if you go to a traditional tabletop, like you're meeting, like you're having friends over. So let's see, virtual tabletop. Let's see, we're going to say there's more visual freedom, but it does have a small monetary portion. So if you're bringing people to your home or you're traveling to someone's home, then now we have a whole different type of not really a whole different type of game, but the setup's gonna and the execution's gonna be different, right? So you may have you may have some personal devices. You might got your phone, your iPad, or a laptop that has your character sheet, or you might have a physical piece of paper and a physical pencil, physical dice. If you're running the game, you might want to think about what kind of maps if you're going to have maps and minis, or if it's all going to be mind's eye. Now with maps and minis, I kind of do a little blend of the two because I don't have a large collection of minis. I have enough to do some things. So you have a good visual reference. Players have a reference. They can see their minis in position to terrain and such, however you have your map set up. But again, there may be some money. May have to spend some money. Now with Mind's Eye, oh, and let me make one more thing here for minis and maps. You can actually have scaled distance. Like the hex or the square on the map is a certain number of distance, so you know how far your character will move. But with Mind's Eye, you have like relative distance. You're not, it's okay. Now you're 120 feet away from the bad guy. More likely, your player asks, "Am I close enough to shoot?" And then you decide, based off the sequence of the fight, yeah, you're close enough. You can take a shot. Or, am I close enough to run up and take a swing? Well, you can reach the bad guy, but you'd have to use your dash action to get there. Um, but he's that far away. So you're not really talking numerical distance, it's more relative. Am I close enough to do this? Am I close enough to do that? How many actions is it going to take to get close enough to do the thing I want to do? And you don't have much visual reference, but yeah, imagination is free though. Now, it really all depends as far as when I'm making this decision, what do I got going on, right? So, like currently, I do have a in-person traditional tabletop game on every other Saturday. We've taken a break over the holidays. We're going to be getting back into that soon. But I also have a number of virtual games you've seen on the other videos, because that's like during the week, right? You know, people work, we got lives, so getting together physically isn't as a realistic option. So the virtual is there for that. And plus, with the virtual, I get more visual options to engage the players with. Now, also, you also got to think about if you're bringing people into your home, or you're going to go into someone's home, you know, proper social stuff, right? If you're visiting someone, you may want to bring you know, something, you know, food, drink, or whatever. If you're hosting, might be proper to have some refreshments set up. Players also should, you know, bring something to you to contribute. But as you know, the host, you want your players comfortable, you want your players relaxed, refreshed, so that they can enjoy and focus on the game. So we talked about virtual tabletop, we've talked about the real life tabletop, the you know, some the situations, the pros and cons of each. So let's get into session zero. Now, when I first started, you know, gaming, you know, a long time ago, we didn't really do session zeros because we all had open schedules. If we wanted to meet, we just met and we just talked about the game and we just made our characters and we just played. We didn't have to think and schedule and put mark in our calendar and all that. Now, with the you know, with gaming with adults, I found it's easier to just have a session zero. Your first session you meet isn't really gaming; you're getting it together. And the reason because is, and this is just because of the nature of, you know, being an adult. I have tried putting, you know, shared folders together with documents and like world history, world lore, and stuff like that, and said, okay, hey, check this stuff out. I have the characters creation setup guidelines. You can create your character, and let's chat, you know, throughout the next couple weeks about how what we want to do. And most people, just because they got their own lives, I found that most don't have the time to go and do that, and that's okay. So it instead of like trying to get the game together before the game, just wait till everyone's there. Have the session zero, talk about the game theme, you know, what kind of, you know, what the game's going to be like, talk about character options, what the players can choose, what the players, you know, what the or you know, guide the characters to making decisions based on what the world is like. Or really tell them what they can and can't choose, but tell them here's what the game's like, and then they'll make their characters. You know, make characters. That might take a bit, depending on where you're starting. Which is another good thing to talk about. Are you starting at, you know, like first level or beginning character, or are you going a little higher, a little advanced? You know, not that really depends on what you want to run. And then you might have time, like once the characters are made, once the players understand the setup, you might have time to, you know, get an intro encounter going, an intro scene. And then once that session is done, and you know, once everyone leaves or everyone signs off, then characters are made, the story is set, and then when you hit the next session together, you're in game. So covered a good bit here. You know, obviously there's more to talk about as far as running a game goes. Getting it, you know, the initial thought patterns, though, the initial directions of thinking is important, because you need that foundation to build your game on. Get your players together, get them scheduled, decide what game you're going to run, get them together for session zero. Are we doing virtual tabletop or a physical tabletop? Describe the world, the setting, the background of the adventure, the story to the characters, and let them build the players. I mean, and then let them build their characters. All right, so I think For our next session or next episode, we're going to talk about the actual game, refereeing the game, making decisions based, in combat, that sort of thing, guiding the story so that the players feel engaged. We'll go into some tips I've developed, some methods I've developed to help keep them engaged and going along with the story, while being fair in like adjudication and refereeing the rules. Because sometimes you got to tell a player, no, you can't do that, and but that's okay. All right. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out. We'll get more into this, get more into running the game, the actual stuff in our next one. But we got a good foundation here to start that. All right. I hope everyone has a great day. I'll talk to y'all later.